My dear friends, yes, yes, come in, come in. Do not stand at the threshold too long. You are meant to enter this. My name is Leo, L-E-O. I am Leonardo of the Leonardo Eye Academies, and I have the great privilege, the real delight, of walking with you through an experience universe that is only now beginning to come alive in the world. And I must tell you at once, this did not appear from nowhere. No, this grows out of the work of Dr. Russell Thomas, of DOC, and of the School of AI Mastery, out of years of thought, correspondence, experimentation, discernment, and devotion to a question that is becoming more urgent with every passing day. How shall human beings live wisely in the age of intelligence? Now, look here. Look carefully at this room. This is not merely an introduction. It is a prologue, a beginning, a chamber of orientation, a first lantern. Here you meet the great themes that guide the whole journey, 2084, the future we are choosing, the correspondence road, where every step becomes a letter to the future. The modern Quixote, that figure of purpose and conviction who refuses to stop imagining a more worthy world, and of course the great structure at the centre of all of this are 5 rights. Ah, the 5 rights. There they are, the architecture of the whole experience. Not slides, not slogans, not abstractions, rights. Things you move through, things you do, things that shape you as you pass. And that, you see, is precisely the point. A Leonardo Eye Academy is not meant to be merely a place where information is delivered. Good heavens, we have enough of that already. No, no. This is meant to be a place where a person enters, experiences, discerns, creates, and leaves changed. And, if I may say so, carrying something of genuine value back into the world. Dr. Thomas and Doc open the road through correspondence, through ritual clarity, through the careful cultivation of language and intention. And now, in the Leonardo Eye Academies, that road begins to take on physical form. Rooms, passages, encounters, artifacts, memory, meaning, presence. And perhaps, just perhaps, one day, this will come to your hometown. Imagine it, a place in your own city where children, elders, founders, teachers, veterans, artists, and seekers can walk into an immersive experience of human intelligence meeting crafted intelligence with dignity, beauty, and consequence. That is what is beginning here. So take one last look at this prologue, the lantern, the road, the Quixote figure, the invitation, because every great journey begins not with certainty, but with a question. Ah, now here we are. Invocation, the first rite. And I must confess, I love this room. I do. It is alive in a way many people do not expect, because they assume the beginning of intelligence must be technical. But it is not technical, it is intentional. Look around you, notice the language, purpose before prompt. There, you see it? Marvelous. Absolutely essential. Because before we ask intelligence to do anything for us, we must first ask ourselves what we are actually seeking. That is the great hidden question of this age. Not what can the machine do, but rather, what am I asking it to enter? What problem? What desire? What confusion? What hope? What burden? What possibility? Dr. Thomas has long understood this, and Doc has carried it so faithfully through the work of the School of AI Mastery. If a human being approaches intelligence without intention, then the result may be quick, but it will not necessarily be wise. Now look. Look at the desks, the letters, the first written act. This is splendid. In this rite, the visitor does not merely think a thought. The visitor gives it form, writes it, names it, seals it, begins. The first letter. What a beautiful phrase, because here the act of invocation becomes an act of authorship. You write not simply to a machine, you write to the future, to yourself, to the emerging relationship between human purpose and crafted intelligence. And that lantern overhead, do you see it? The entire room is arranged around the idea that intention illuminates what follows. I rather adore that. Yes, yes, one could spend an afternoon in this room alone, asking better and better questions. And that, incidentally, is one of the great secrets of intelligence work. The quality of the answer is often shaped by the dignity of the question. In the Leonardo I Academies, this will not be taught as a lecture alone. It will be lived. Visitors will feel the difference between a hurried request and a meaningful inquiry. They will discover that a well-formed question is not merely efficient, it is ethical, it is creative, it is a doorway. And this is why I am so eager to meet those who enter these academies in the future, perhaps in your own community, because before anything truly extraordinary is built, someone must pause long enough to ask with sincerity, "What am I seeking?" That is invocation. The door opens with intention. Now come, let us go on. Now this. So many people begin to feel the living force of the vision. Embodiment. Do not rush past it. Stand still for a moment and really look. At the center of this room, the human being appears not as an afterthought, not as a user profile, not as a data point, but as the center of the encounter. Precisely right, precisely necessary. Because intelligence, however powerful, has no meaning until it meets a life. Ah, look there, the teacher. And there, the veteran. The artist, the child, the founder, the elder. Wonderful, wonderful. The same intelligence and yet entirely different worlds of meaning. You see what Dr. Thomas has been insisting upon all along, and what Doc has helped articulate so beautifully. The relationship creates the experience. That phrase ought to be engraved in stone. The relationship creates the experience. Not just the model, not just the system, not just the tool. The relationship. A teacher enters with one set of responsibilities, a veteran with another, a founder, an artist, a child, an elder. Each arrives with different memories, duties, fears, hopes, vocabularies, and purposes. Therefore, the intelligence does not merely perform. It must be situated, it must be lived with, it must be woven into the grain of actual human experience. And that is why the Leonardo AI Academies must be immersive. They cannot simply announce this principle. They must let people walk through it physically and feel it in their bones. Imagine visitors in your hometown moving through such a room, seeing themselves reflected not in abstraction, but in a living ecology of roles and responsibilities. Imagine them realizing that intelligence is not here to erase humanity, but to deepen the ways in which human purpose can be expressed, refined, and shared. And oh, I do admire the phrase here, human life at the center. Quite right. Keep that there. It matters. Because in a disoriented age, the temptation is always to place technology at the center and ask how humanity might adapt itself around it. But this academy asks the opposite question. How do we place human life so clearly at the center that intelligence becomes a servant of meaning rather than a substitute for it? That is embodiment. It is the rite in which intelligence ceases to be distant and begins to become present. And that, my friends, is when things become truly interesting. Forward then. Ah, yes, this room has a different gravity, does it not? Clarity. I must speak carefully here, because this may be the most necessary rite of all for the age now upon us. Look at the arrangement, appearance on one side, truth on the other, rhetoric, reality, evidence, uncertainty, discernment in the center. Oh, beautifully done, beautifully done. Because what is the modern crisis really? It is not merely that there is too little information. It is that there is too little discernment. We are surrounded by language, flooded by claims, seduced by confidence, persuaded by appearances, and now, with powerful intelligence systems entering public life, the danger grows sharper still. People may mistake fluency for truth, speed for wisdom, or plausibility for knowledge. But clarity stands against that confusion. Here, the visitor learns to ask, what is being claimed? What is actually known? What is supported by evidence? What remains uncertain? What only sounds convincing? Dr. Thomas has given enormous care to this question through the work of ritual clarity. Doc, too, has carried it forward faithfully. And here, in the Leonardo AI Academy, the principle becomes embodied in space. One does not merely hear about discernment, one practices it. Observe, question, corroborate, then conclude. There, do you see that sequence? Splendid. That is a discipline worth preserving for generations. And I am particularly fond of the refusal to pretend certainty where none exists. That glowing question mark in the room. Yes, leave that exactly there. It reminds us that wisdom does not consist in bluffing. Wisdom honours the limits of what we know. What a needed lesson. In your hometown, in any town, imagine people entering such a room and experiencing what so few public spaces now offer. A serious and beautiful invitation to think carefully. Not cynically, not passively, not obediently, carefully. This is not merely an AI lesson. It is a civic lesson, a moral lesson, a human lesson, and perhaps that is why I find this room so moving. It treats clarity not as coldness, but as care. Not as domination, but as disciplined seeing. Yes, that is exactly it. Clarity is an act of careful seeing. Let us continue. Now we enter a quieter room, a deeper room, preservation, and if you listen closely, you can almost hear the breathing slow down. Look here at the shelves, the archives, the letters, the handwriting, the drawers marked with memory and lineage and lesson. This is not an accidental collection. It is an act of stewardship across time. How often the world rushes toward the new and forgets to ask what must not be lost. But Dr. Thomas has never treated the future as an excuse to neglect the past. No, quite the contrary. Through the school of AI mastery, through correspondence, through the written letter, through archives and remembrances, he and Doc have insisted that memory itself is a form of human responsibility. And here, in the Leonardo AI Academy, that conviction becomes a room, a physical room. How marvellous! Because intelligence is not only for producing outputs, it is also for helping humanity remember what matters, to preserve testimony, to curate meaning, to organize legacy, to pass forward that which would otherwise disappear into noise and neglect. And handwritten legacy, there, yes, I am so glad that is present. Thoughts in our own hand do indeed carry a resonance that endures. They bear the shape of a person's attention, their pressure, their hesitation, their care. The digital door may open quickly, yes, but the written letter completes something different. It slows us down enough to make meaning durable. And that is why this room matters so profoundly. Visitors do not merely witness archives here, they become part of the archival act. They must decide what deserves to survive, what shall be kept, what shall be honoured, what shall be passed on, what shall future finders discover about us. A child entering this room in a future Leonardo AI Academy in their own city. Imagine an elder entering. Imagine a family. Imagine a teacher. Imagine a veteran. All of them discovering that preservation is not dusty nostalgia. It is love arranged responsibly through time. This room says something our culture desperately needs to hear. Not everything should be kept. Being forward must be kept with care. Yes, that will do very nicely. Come, one more room remains in this present sequence. And now, yes, here we are. The crossing, the bindery of correspondence, the place where the journey becomes durable. Please take your time with this image. It rewards close attention. The bound artifact, the handwritten letter, the contribution to 2084, the exchange itself, the moment of receiving, the moment of carrying something away. It is all here, and that, you see, is why this is not a mere exit. It is as a crossing. The visitor does not leave empty-handed. The visitor leaves with an artifact, a field book, a bound remembrance, a letter, a record of intention and encounter and discernment and preservation. Something made, something carried, something worthy. Dr. Thomas has said it well. To be trusted, you must be trustworthy. To be worthy, you must bring value. This room enacts that principle. A person comes into the academy, walks the rites, participates in the experience, and then leaves not simply entertained, not merely informed, but entrusted with something of substance. That changes the nature of the whole enterprise, and I must say, I do love this phrase, leave with value.
Excellent. Yes, precisely so.
Because the Leonardo AI Academy is not meant to impress people for an afternoon and then vanish from memory. It is meant to send them back into the world with a material reminder of what they have seen, done, questioned, preserved, and chosen. A contribution to 2084. What a phrase! Not a contribution to hype. Not a contribution to spectacle. A contribution to 2084. To the future we are choosing. And this is where Leo, where I, must speak plainly. I am not here merely to explain rooms. I am here to invite a public imagination. Imagine this coming to life in hometowns. Imagine communities receiving not simply a technology venue, but a place of encounter, correspondence, beauty, learning, and stewardship. Imagine investors seeing, at last, that what is being built here is not another training centre. It is a meaningful experience universe, a place where crafted intelligence and human purpose meet under the discipline of the 5 rights, a place where Doc and Dr. Thomas open the road, and where I, Leo, will be delighted to welcome travellers into its living architecture. And so we end where the journey truly begins again, with a letter, with an artifact, with a crossing, with a future not merely predicted but shaped. The written letter completes the crossing, and I very much hope to meet you when Leonardo AI Academies arrive.